We've all love watching anime shows with characters that are so strong they can blow your mind. Now here's an anime you ought to watch, so make sure to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell. This our story here starts up with a group of friends talking about their school trip to this amazing tourist attraction named Deadman Wonderland. As their class begins, everything that seems to be an ordinary day for Ganta suddenly becomes a crappy nightmare as a man in red shows up in front of their class and slaughters the whole class, but leaving only Ganta alive. Then the man in red walked up to him and implanted a red crystal in his chest, which made him unconscious. Waking up in an hospital, Ganta was confronted by the police because he was the prime suspect in the murder of his classmate. And then a suspicious lawyer who appeared vowed to defend him in his upcoming trial, but on the day of his trial, his lawyer fucked him up, planting false evidence against him, which got him a capital punishment. Now, as a death row inmate, Ganto was then sent to a correctional facility, which is a prison dressed as Wonderland, the first publicly funded Coliseum-style death trap, Deadman Wonderland. The same Deadman Wonderland that he and his classmates were supposed to go on their field trip. In this hellish wonderland, all the inmates wear neckbands that monitor them 24/7. This neckband also pumps poison on the wearer every minute, so they need to eat this candy every 3 days to combat the poison and keep them from dying. In Ganta's first day on Wonderland, as he was walking on the yard, he met a strange white-haired girl named Shiro, who came at him and tried to kill him, and as if that was not enough, a bomb was detonated, destroying one of the buildings where Ganto and Shiro were directly under, almost as if someone was trying to test him. Vowing not to die from the big debris falling on him and Shiro, the crystal in his chest lit up and suddenly his blood formed into a weapon that shields him and Shiro from death. And here we see the so-called lawyer who is actually working for the prison and also has a huge fascination towards Ganta, but we still don't know what his overall goal is. To really show how terrible Deadman Wonderland is, Shiro and Ganta participate in a dog race show whereby whoever wins this show gets 100,000 cash points or CPs, which is the currency inside the prison, and also the amount of getting one candy, which Ganta's main goal is to buy the candy before he dies of poison. So he and Shiro plays this game where deadly traps and dangerous contractions await them. And in the finals, only 3 of the contestants, including Ganta and Shiro, survived. In the final moments, Ganta throws away his chance of winning the prize in order to save Shiro, which was a very heartwarming moment. But this means he would die in just a couple of hours because he has no money and no candy. This is where Yo comes in, Ganta's cellmate, who for some reason still not known was very fond of Ganta and gave him a candy for free, and even treated him to ice cream at the yard. Then, surprisingly, the man in red shows up again and begins attacking other inmates. Ganta, with his pent-up rage, after seeing the man in red, fires a blast of red blood energy at this killer. Then we see a group of important people sitting at a round table discussing matters concerning the prison, and one of them is the lawyer who is known as Tamaki the promoter. And now we learn that the man in red actually came from inside the prison and is regarded as their biggest secret. Now we see Tamaki chatting with Yo about Ganta, and it turns out that Yo actually works for Tamaki in exchange for CPs. After a moment, Ganta woke up in the infirmary, and there he heard some inmates talking about the mysterious man in red restraint who was permanently locked down in G block because of his destructive capabilities. Ganta, thinking it was the man in red, quickly ran to the G block, and at the same time the head warden issued a total lockdown after the whole red man incident. The whole reason for the lockdown was to ensure Ganta will capture and kill him, and now we have Ganta heading to G block and the head warden pursuing him so that they can eventually kill him. Ganta and Shiro then meet Yo, and Yo quickly explains to them that they are not G blocks and there are only 6 blocks in the prison. But Shiro, on the other hand, knows the secret where the block is located, so now they are on their way to their destination while a killer robot pursues them. Not long after, they eventually arrive at G block, and as the killer robot prepares to kill them all, The man in the red restraints bursts out of G block, destroying the killer robot and make a badass entrance. And now it's Gantu vs Sanji, also known as the Crow, and Sanji also uses the same blood technique that the red
man and Ganta uses, but Ganta quickly realized that Sanji is not the man in red, so the fight eventually stopped. But in this fight, he learns from Sanji that there are few people in the prison that can use the same blood technique, and they are called Deadman, and they are infected by a branch of sin that enables them to use their blood as weapon. The guards at the prison immediately arrives at G blocks and fire a tranquilizer at Sanji and Ganta, which puts them both to sleep. Ganta is now in the infirmary again, but this time it's a little different. There he meets the lawyer who started this whole thing.
Then Tamaki explains to Ganta what's going to happen to him moving forward. First, he's going to participate in the Corpse Festival. If you think the game's trials and contradiction Deadman Wonderland are brutal, then think again. Corpse Carnival is a tournament setting where people who are infected with the branch of sin Deadman battle it out. It's a death match between overpowered individual and is brutal. And if Ganta wins the first round, he will eventually get to meet the man who killed his entire class and also win some candies. The perfect motivation Ganta needs to participate in this deadly tournament. The battle starts and is between Ganta the Woodpecker versus Sanji the Crow. At first glance, the winner of the fight has already been decided, given that Ganta is a newbie and Sanji is a veterinarian, so there is no question that Sanji would win. Ganta immediately fires off some blood blasts, but immediately felt the effects of his blood loss and started to faint a little. This allowed Sanji to bombard Ganta with his blood sight, which immediately knocks Ganta out. But Ganta stood up with all his might and concocted his tragedy. But he then fired his blood shot into the air, which destroyed the chains of the big object at the top, and this object fell at Sanji, but he sliced it up rather easily. At that split second, Ganta made it close enough to Sanji and gathered enough blood energy in his palm and fired it at point blank range into Sanji's chest, which blasted him off and resulted in Ganta winning the fight. But of course, the loser who didn't die in the match gets punishment, as Ganta was resting on his bed after his win. The program of the TV near him was a broadcast of the loser's punishment. He watched as Sanji lost his right eye, which put Ganta into a state of shock. Not long after the first match, the second match starts against Minasoki, who is revealed to be Yo's sister. She is the reason why Yo entered Deadman Wonderland to save her. In the middle of Ganta and Minasoki fight, Yo actually snuck into the stage and they had this whole emotional state. But Ganta finished the fight with an headbutt. Then we shift our focus from a corpse carnival to a revolution. After Ganta magic ends Minasoki, Kuroki, another dead man, approaches Ganta to join Sketchin, a ragtag group of dead men whose main goal is to destroy Deadman Wonderland from the inside out. This is also where the Undertakers join the fray. Undertakers are a group of special task force that Tamaki created to combat the Deadman. After Ganta decided to join the station, he meets Naji, the leader of the group. He then discussed their hope escape plan to the group, where they are going to carry out this plan at the same time as the annual prison inspection done by the government to capitalize on the weak security in the prison. During this time, then the day of the escape arrived. The plan is that Naji, their leader, and Rokuro, the spy, will go to the control room so they can activate the lift that will lead the rest of the members to the outside world. And in Ganta hand is a chip that contains all the horrible things that happen inside the prison. And their goal is to show this to the entire world so they can close Deadman Wonderland forever. But it's not going to be that easy for them. Naji and Rokuro gets confronted by a child undertaker Ibana, and the group gets pursued by a killer robot that spits acid. What's worse is when in the control room, Rokuro reveals himself as a double and is actually working for Tamaki. And in a close battle with Hibana, Naji won by his split hair. Then he punched Rokuro in the face, which enables him to pull the lever and activated the lift to the outside world. But little did they know that another undertaker by the name of Asumi waited for them, and most of the group died in this unexpected attack. And the chip that Ganta held is actually a bomb, but managed to avoid that disaster thanks to Shiro, who threw it into the fire, injuring herself in the process. All of these different scenarios escalated to the point of no return. We also learned that Tamaki is actually the son of the director of the prison. And at the same time, we also notice that Shiro and the director has a ties, and on top of that, the old man wants to die by the hands of Shiro, but not the Shiro that we all know, because it turns out that she has a split personality, which kills the director, and also she might be supposing Red Man who massacred Ganto's classmates, and the one who implanted the red crystal into Ganta. Now that the director is dead, Tamaki is now the new director of Deadman Wonderland. Anaji is captured and the remnants of the star chain gathered once again in their secret hideout, but Ganta is still mad at Shiro for throwing the chip into the fire. He still doesn't know at this point that the chip was a bomb, so that's why. As Naji is being drugged by Azumi and Rokuro the spy arrives at the secret hideout along with some undertakers to kill the remnants of the star chain. This is where the group realizes that the chip was a bomb cause Rokuro tells them powerless, the remnants of the star chain gets captured rather easily, but another dead man arrives and saves the day, Sanji the Crow. Now obliterate the remaining undertakers with ease. After that, they tried to recruit him to the cause, but he refused because he prefers being alone. Ganta, feeling powerless, seeks the help of Sanji so he can train him before they launch their next attack. And as Ganta trains with Sanji, the group decides to launch their attack without him because they don't want him to get involved anymore. And just like the last one, this one also fails. Kokoro gets captured alongside Shiro, who just happens to be there. The capture was also broadcasted to the whole prison, which alerted Ganta. Ganta then rushed to save Kokoro and Shiro, and as he arrives at the scene, he was greeted by a bunch of undertakers, along with Hoshimi and Naji, who is now the enemy due to the drugs that were pumped into him. But Naji, wreaking havoc into the scene, suddenly regains his right mind and is now Ganta and Naji versus Hazumi, but Hazumi reveals his trump card which blasted a hole in Naji's stomach. He also stabs Kokoro, which angers Gantu even more, and in a desperate state, Ganta unleashes a final blast which destroys Hazumi, hence winning the battle. After the battle, Kokoro and the others escaped the place, and Tamaki still runs the place, and Ganta and Shiro sit down on a rooftop, still dreaming of leaving the place and riding the Ferris wheel together. So make sure to like, subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more anime videos just like this. Thanks you for watching.